Hello guys and welcome here. My name is Yasin. In today's video we are going to talk about how we can do basic data analysis with Microsoft Excel. So for the purpose of this video we are going to create a little database with random numbers, and we are also going to use various very simple functions in order to extract data from our big database. So it's going to be pretty interesting and pretty simple as well. So let's start. So as I said, for the purpose of this video, what I want to do is actually use 5 coffee shops and have an income for each of those 5 coffee shops. So we'll have our coffee shop 1, and then we're going to have our coffee shop 2, 3, 4, as well as 5. So you can do it at the same time as me. So as you can see here, I have my 5 coffee shops. The second thing that I would need will be the dates. So I can write down my date here. Now, the next step will be generating dates. So for this example, we are going to generate dates that start from the 1st January 2020 to the 31st January 2020. So the format that we are going to write this down will be this one right here. So we'll write down 2020 01 01. And here automatically it's going to become a date format. Now what we can do is simply take this this cell, and drag it until we reach the 31st January. So here is our 31st January. Now we have our dates. The next step will be generating a random income for each of our coffee shops. So for the purpose of this example, let's say that each of our coffee shops makes between $500 and $1,000 a day. So to be able to write this down in an Excel format, we are going to generate a random number between 500 and 1,000. So the formula that we are going to use for this example will be equal rand between. And here it's going to be a random number between 500 and 1,000. And here we have a random number that will be automatically generated. Each time that we click on the delete button, the number will change. Now we are going to apply this to all of our database. And just like this, we have a database with for our 5 coffee shops for a period of 31 days that contains random numbers. Now, the next step, what we want to do with this this database, we want to put it in a table format. So what we're going to do right now is simply take all of our database here and put it inside of a table. So we're going to click on the Insert tab right here, click on Table, and here we are going to have our database in a table format. Now, we will start extracting data from our database. So some important data that we are going to need will be how much money have been made for each of the dates, what is the highest amount that have been made for our 1st January, 2nd January, or 3rd, the smallest amount, and finally the average amount that has been generated for the first date. And we're gonna do this for each shop as well. So the way we're gonna write this down is pretty simple. So first of all, we are going to have our average. The second element will be our highest amount that have been made. Then we're gonna have our lowest amount. And finally, we are going to have our sum, so total, for the day. So here it's going to be, this part is going to be called daily income. And here, what we're gonna have on this place right there is going to be called database. So coffee shop database. Here we go. Now we want to calculate the average income per coffee shop for the 1st January. So the way we're gonna write this down is pretty simple. We're going to write down equal and average. And here we're gonna open up our parentheses, and we want the average of the cells that are right here. And then we just click on the enter button. And as you can see, the average for the 1st January was $620. So the average income per coffee shop for this date. The next the next element that we want is the highest amount that have been generated for this date. So for this element, we are going to use the max function. So here we have our max, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna select all the elements right here. And just like that, we're gonna have the highest amount that has been made for the 1st January. So here, as you can see, it's $944. If we refresh, it's gonna change automatically. We want the same thing right now for the lowest amount generated. So we're gonna do the same thing. We are going to generate the lowest amount generated, so min in this case, and we are going to have $547. So the highest amount generated for this date is 851. The lowest amount is $547. The last thing that we want is the total amount that has been generated for the 1st January. So we want the sum of all the amounts that have been generated, so all the income generated. So the function that we are going to use now will be the sum function. So simply write down equal and then sum. And then you can open up your parentheses. And what's going to happen right now is that you will be able to select the numbers that you want to make a sum with right there. And as you can see, we know that for the 1st January, the total that has been made was $3,484. Now what we're going to do, we are going to apply those functions to all of our database. And just like this, we are able to know how much money has been made for each day, and we have a complete understanding of each income for each day. So we know that for example, 18th of January, $834 was the average income per coffee shop, and the total income was $4,171. Now let's say that we want to have this information, but instead of having it for a date, we want to have it per coffee shop. So it's gonna be the same thing. We're gonna go here, and then we are going to calculate the exact same thing. So we want to have the average, we want to have the max, and we want to have the min, and we want to have the total income. And just like this, we can do the same thing. So here we are going to have the average. We want to have the average of all the incomes of our coffee shop number 1. So we can just select all the elements for coffee shop number 1. We want to have the max. So we're going to do the same thing. We are going to select max. So the highest income for our 1st day. Then we want to have the lowest income, so it's going to be the min. So here we go, we'll have the lowest income. And finally, we want to have the total or the sum for our coffee shop number 1 for the month of January. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select all the elements for the sum. And now what we can do, we can just add our little $sign right here. And after that, we can just select all the answers that we have and drag it for the 5 coffee shops that we have right here. And just like this, we have been able to extract all the important data from this coffee shop. Now, let's say we are looking for, I don't know, how much money has been made on a certain date. What you can do, you can simply go in date and be able to look by the date that you're looking for. So let's say we want to have information about the 19th of January, and then just click on the OK button. And just like this, you know that on the 19th of January, how much each coffee shop has made, what's the total daily income, and finally, all the averages for each and every day. So you're able to compare it to, let's say, well, here we have our coffee shop number 1. We know that on the 19th of May, it made $802. So it was greater than the average for the coffee shop number 1. And it was greater than the average of all the coffee shops for that particular day. Now, the last thing that we can calculate will be how much has been made in for that whole month for all the coffee shops. So where exactly we can add this information? We can add this information right here. So we'll just open up our table once again. And we can add, we can add it either here, either there, but we're gonna add it here. So we want, here was our information per coffee shop. So per coffee shop. There we go. We're just gonna wrap the text. Here we go. And now we want to have the total, well, the information for all the elements. So for the whole month, we want to know what's the average of all the coffee shops combined, the maximum amount that has been generated, the minimum amount that has been generated, and the total. So we're just gonna take this, copy it, and paste it right here. So here it's gonna be monthly total. And we're gonna do the exact same calculations. So what exactly we wanna do now, we want to calculate the average of all the coffee shops. So pretty simple. We're gonna use the average again. And here we can select all the elements inside of our coffee shops. Here we go. So now we know that the average income per coffee shop per day was $751. So now we can compare each of our coffee shops by this average. Now we want to know what's the highest amount that has been generated for 1 month. So we're going to do the same thing. We want to calculate the max. So we'll do the same thing right here. We want to calculate the lowest number. So we're going to do the same thing here. So min. Of course, it's important to select all the elements inside of our coffee shop. So here we go. We're going to select them all. And finally, we want to calculate the total. So here we are going to calculate the sum of all the incomes in all of the coffee shops. So we'll select all the elements, and here we go. We know that, there we go. We know that all the coffee shops together for the month of January have made $115,599. And each time that we refresh it, it's changing, and we have new data because once again it works with random numbers. So if we do another test, let's say we want the information for January 4th, we click on OK, and here we have our information for that day for all of the coffee shops, and we can compare pretty much, well, we have all the figures to be able to compare it. So let's say that coffee shop number 1 made $752. We know that the daily average for the month of January was $765. So it's lower than the monthly average of all the coffee shops. It's lower than the monthly average of the coffee shop number 1 as well, but it's higher than the daily average. So is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? So it's really up to the person who analyzes it to decide. So we know that even if it's lower than the monthly average, it's the best income for the 5 coffee shops for that day. So we pretty much have the information for the day, and we have all the information to be able to compare it. So this is how we do basic data analysis directly on Microsoft Excel with the use of very simple and basic formulas and functions. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed creating this little project. Once again, if you liked it, don't forget to leave a like, to subscribe, and see you in another of my videos.